The Raiders finished up last year at 10-7, snuck into the playoffs, lost to the Bengals. They're a good team. I think, with what happened to them last year, with the Henry Ruggs, the Gruden, take shit, throw it against a fan, and stick it at a wall, because that is exactly what happened to this team last year. It's amazing that they were able to make it to the playoffs with the adversity that they faced throughout the year. This year, they pretty much cleaned house. They got Josh McDaniels as a coach, so we'll see his second stint since the Broncos. I'm going to give the man I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt. I think he does a lot better this time. They brought in Mick Lombardi as offensive coordinator. He was under Jim Harbaugh for a long time, so I think we're going to see a lot of those bootleg-esque plays that, I'm going to spill a secret here that Aaron Rodgers did so good with Davante Adams in Green Bay. I think that's kind of a match made in heaven. And then we got Patrick Graham on defense. He left the Giants last year. So we're going to get some really interesting schemes out of this team that we haven't seen recently. So they lost Yannick Ngakoue. Yas Queen. They gained Davante Adams, Duron Harmon, and Chandler Jones. So those are all really solid additions to this team. Derek Carr, he is the 14th quarterback going off the board, an underdog right now, but he almost threw for 5,000 yards last year. He had 14 picks, and he only had 24 touchdowns. Derek Carr was still serviceable. You could definitely use him last year, but now we had Davante Adams, who is a red zone machine. I expect those touchdown numbers to go up and up and up. Last year, he had Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. Hunter Renfrow is not much of a red zone threat. So when you add that red zone threat, you really open up this offense. So I love Derek Carr. Draft him. Get him as your quarterback. He's going into QB2 price. Wait really late in the draft and make him your QB1. We got Josh Jacobs, who is currently the running back 22. I've already talked about how he is a value right now. He is in the last year of his contract, so I expect him to pedal to the metal. I expect him to up his numbers up. He was used way more as a receiver last year. Again, Kenyan Drake was hurt for the last couple games. He missed 6 games there. But I like Josh Jacobs a lot, and if he keeps receiving the ball the way he did with some offensive line improvements, I think RB22 is an absolute steal at the moment. Kenyan Drake played 12 games last year. He was kind of lightly used. I think we all expected a little bit more out of him, but he did battle an ankle injury for the entire season for the most part. So he's getting paid $8 million, and I expect a healthy dose of him with the new coaching staff. He still made it out with 30 receptions last year and is running back 67 on underdog. You could do worse at the end of your draft. They also signed Brandon Bolden, who is everyone's favorite touchdown vulture, so I expect to see that sprinkled in this year. And they added Zamir White in the 4th round from Georgia. He definitely has dynasty appeal. Kenyan Drake and Josh Jacobs are both going to their last year of their contracts. He's nothing special, but I do think he can be a bruiser in a redraft. I'm not going to take him. Davante Adams. My notes for Davante Adams, guys, it's just all exclamation marks. It's all exclamation marks. I'm so excited about this. He is currently going at wide receiver 5. Davante Adams is a grown man, and he's going to a quarterback that he played in college with. He's top 3 for me for sure. I don't, it's not much of a value 2 spots, but I think he's going to have a monster year. I don't see that much of a downfall from Green Bay. Hunter Renfrow, we had 100 receptions last year, but he's not that red zone guy. We already talked about that. He is a PPR gem, though. So Davante Adams on the outside, Waller lining up in the slot or the outside, and then you got Renfrow, slaughter outside. That is the short yardage receptions that we all love in a PPR. Darren Waller, tread lightly, America, on this dude. He's going as a tight end 4. He's also 30 years old, and they added an absolute alpha in Davante Adams. Darren Waller is no longer the star of the show here. So if you're going to take him at that spot, there's something wrong with you. I'm avoiding him like the plague right now, but let someone else take him. That's my only advice. They also added Demarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole, and Mac Hollins returns for a 2nd season. What do you guys think about this offense?
I have several things to say.
Please do.
So
I was waiting for this, Josh.
I apologize ahead of time. I feel like I argued with you last time I was here. So Waller, I will say, as the tight end 4 makes sense because there's not any talent below him. This offense for fantasy purposes, I absolutely love. The price tags, you're getting all of them because you got Davante Adams, like you said, discounted Davante Adams. Obviously, it's not a huge discount, but it's a 10% off, man. Take that 10%, run with it. You're getting him in the and that honestly, that back first round, like I would love to have like the 8th draft pick or the 10th draft pick, get Davante Adams in that little combo there. But Waller, I think as long as you're getting him not in the beginning spread, you know how there's always those first 2-3 tight ends that get drafted right away. As long as you're not biting on that 4th one immediately, like if you're getting him in the 5th round, I'm cool with that. You got 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. Sure. Grab yourself a Waller. Okay. So just off fantasy football for a second. I think everybody needs to slow their roll on the Raiders. Just because they got Davante Adams and Ngakoue does not mean that they solved all their problems. They solved a problem that wasn't actually a problem because their offense actually was one of the better offenses in the league. They just got more scoring, which will help win games, but they are playing in arguably the toughest division. They're the worst team in the toughest division, even with upgrades. A middle of the pack defense, and they have absolutely no offensive line. So their run game will be relatively non-existent. I think Josh Jacobs will make do. He did a lot out of the backfield last year, and I think he will continue to do so this year. Kenyan Drake, they actually do have a lot of depth on the running back, which is really smart because all of these guys are getting injured because there's no one to block for them. So I like Brandon Bolden, Zamir White, and then Amir Abdullah even. I know he hasn't had a great career, but they got some depth there, which is great. Hopefully they make the final roster, but I am holding my breath on the Raiders for now. We don't even know if the Davante Adams experiment is going to be great. I think it will.
It's going to be great.
I think it will because of the chemistry. I'm not even going to
credit you with that point right there.
That's fine. Awesome. That's fine. You can take that one and run with it all you want and ignore all the other facts that I just spit at you. But I'm just saying we still have to see it first. Like this is not Aaron Rodgers. Derek Carr is a good quarterback, but he is not Aaron Rodgers. So, yes, there are probably more passing options than Rodgers has ever had in his career, other than Davante Adams and maybe back in when he first came in. But I want to see it before I believe it. I will draft these people in fantasy, but I'm just saying, if you're a Raiders fan, just because you got Davante Adams, do not get your hopes up yet. Like, I want to see what Davante Adams has, and I want to see your offensive line and defensive line work because Maxx Crosby.
All right. First of all, whoa. Just chill.
It was a lot.
They beat the Chargers to get into the playoffs last season. So like it's not like they didn't just finish second in the division. I realize the other 2 teams made upgrades, but you know, they did do the damn thing last year. So let's just relax a little bit. Second of all aboard the Josh Jacobs train. This is the last year of his contract. They're gonna run him into the dirt. And I hate that for him because that's not how it should be, but he is going to get so many touches this season. Now that doesn't mean he's going to be without injury or something like that, but they're not going to pick they didn't pick his option up. They're going to run him into the ground. So I would say anybody who is looking for that RB2 that they can take in the 3rd or 4th round and feel comfortable with, I think that is going to be Josh Jacobs this year because it's a little bit lower risk than you would think because they're not saving him for anything. They're going to wear him out so that when he goes to the next team, he's not going to be at the same level. So I'm all aboard the Josh Jacobs train. And did Davante Adams suddenly get bad at football? Derek Carr is a fine quarterback. He was throwing for 500-yard games 2 years ago? Like, he's fine. This whole team's going to be okay. They're probably, you're right, still last in the division, but considering the rest of the division, that's really not that big of a deal. And I still think they could be better than Denver, but that's just me personally.
Well, that is true. If anyone's going to be worse than them, it's going to be Denver. Sorry about my Raiders rant, but I just want to tell you where. I want to hear your guys' guess on where their offensive line ranks in the league.
It was bad last year, but they still did the thing. Like they
bottom third, bottom 3.
They could. And they were a play away from beating the Bengals. Like literally, that's where we're talking about.
I understand that they're a decent team, but that offensive line is not one injury to one of the Leatherwood, maybe even I don't even know if he's
okay. They're going to go from bottom 3 to bottom 1. It didn't matter last year. That's what
there's only one direction to go, and that's
literally
you can't fix. And this has nothing to do with fantasy football. And I apologize because I know this is a fantasy football podcast because I think Davante Adams will be fine fantasy-wise. Renfrow will even be fine. Waller will be fine. I'm not sure about Jacobs. I think he could be, but this offensive line is going to determine it because if they have what the Eagles had 3 years ago, you got some trouble coming.
Isn't it worse? If bottom 3, how about were the Eagles 2 years?
We were because we injured all of our entire offensive line was injured. Yeah, no, that's where we were. Bottom 3.
And weren't they there last year? That's what you just said?
No, I said it was 2-3 years ago. Whenever
I'm saying
when
the
everyone
Raiders.
thought
You guys also
I don't
didn't
believe
have
so.
any
I
wide
don't believe
receivers
so.
on the outside to take any pressure.
I
off of it,
understand that. I'm just saying offensive line is
no
going
one
to
here
play
is
a
saying that
whole.
the Raiders are going to be great or good or anything, but for fantasy, we're drafting them and we're loving the value we're getting on them. The one thing this team has that they did not have last year is depth. And
you just want Raiders fans to relax, and I think they understand they still have Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert in the division. I don't think they're.
I don't think so. I think they're getting their hopes up. I'd get my hopes up if I got Davante Adams on my team.
I would too, to be just as about the same as we were last year, maybe a little bit better, and that's probably within reach.
The Packers made the biggest mistake ever.
They sure as hell did.
In the second round, getting a first and a second round pick for Davante Adams in his prime. That's dumb.
All right, since I went on this rant and tirade, can we talk about? Can we throw a little bet out there? Because I'll take a under on Davante Adams being a top 5 wide receiver if anyone wants it.
Yes, please. I'll take it. All right. Defense. Chandler Jones, 10.5 sacks in Arizona last year. He is a huge upgrade over Yannick. And you partner him with Maxx Crosby, who had 8 sacks last year. They're going to get a ton of pressure on the opposing offenses. So I really like what they did there. They have Blyle Nichols, who they took from the Bears, who was a solid defensive tackle. He'll do some work there for him. So I really like the front of this line or the defense here. They brought in Jayon Brown from Tennessee. Him and Deablo will cover the middle of the field there. Deablo still has DB ranking on Sleeper. So if you're on Sleeper, you're drafting him. They're going to play a ton of sub packages, and he played safety. He's all over the field, and he is a really valuable dude to have at a linebacker spot. So they got Trevon Moehrig. He was awesome last year. Played every snap, I think. He'll be back, but he is a free safety. The guy I'm really excited about is Jonathan Abram. I think they're going to do everything in their power to put this man in room to succeed, get him in a place to succeed. So Graham runs a lot of 5 defensive backs, and one of those defensive backs is free to prowl through the middle of the field there. That is Jonathan Abram. I expect a growing season from him and a good season. They also traded Yannick to get Rocky Sin, who I think is a solid cornerback, is going to lock up the side of that defense. I really like what they did with this defense. I mean, they pretty much have every ex-Ram. They got Kenny Young and Micah Kaiser back there to provide depth at linebacker. I'm excited to watch this team grow. They're interesting. I was excited to get the Raiders on this poll because I wanted to dive into that team a little bit more. And they're just going to be fun to watch. They're going to be fun to watch grow a little bit.
Yeah, they should be as good as they were last year, I would say. Chandler Jones did get like 4 or 5 of those sacks in one game of the 10, so that kind of stinks. It is still 10, still counts all the same, but it was one game that got half of them.
But he also did not have Maxx Crosby on the other side.
He did not, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing for Chandler Jones. I'm just saying, you see the 10 sacks, the context of it matters a smidge. But he's still a fine player. He's a little older, but as far as taking him this year in your redraft IDP leagues, I think you're fine. He's going to be okay.
I think he's a bit over the hill. I don't think he's getting to 10.
Josh, you hate the Raiders. We get it, man.
No, actually, I think it really helps Maxx Crosby, which is phenomenal. No, I actually like the Raiders. I was born in Oakland. I should like the Raiders, although they did leave us, so fuck them. But
there it is.
Seems like hate to me.
It's not even that. It's just I just want to pump the brakes real quick because there's a chance that this team is a dumpster fire. I understand that the troubles they went through last year. It could be a dumpster fire.
Honestly, the season would be a success if they just didn't have any shit happen.
That's honestly true.
If they just went 500 and nothing happened and everyone went home, we'd be pretty pleased.
Everyone got to go home.
That is a good point.
All right, let's get to the.
Okay, so over under 8.5 for the Raiders.
All right, so we got Chargers, Cardinals, Titans, Broncos, Chiefs. Then we got Texans, Saints, Jaguars, Colts, Broncos, Seahawks, Chargers, Rams, Patriots, Steelers, 49ers, and the Chiefs.
Oof.
I think it's very doable.
So, yeah, I was about at 8.
That was tough ending. There's a lot of middle of the pack teams that we haven't heard yet, like the Steelers. Like, what if the Steelers are great kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, that's why I had them down as a maybe, but then I heard like the Texans. I think the Patriots are going to be awful this year. I think that's easily winnable. But Bill Belichick versus former coaches. Bill Belichick wins those matches. So maybe you got that in play.
I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to the listeners if I didn't take the under. So
it would be hilarious if you went
I'll
over.
take the over. No, I'll take the under here. I might eat this one, but I think 9 wins is possible for them. But there was a lot of middle of the pack teams, and if anything I said was true, aka that offensive line not holding out, it could be a bad time. There's a lot of pass rushers they're going against.
Joe?
Over.
Okay.
8.5 is pretty low.
Sorry, Joe. I don't mean to disagree with you every week. Hopefully next week we can
I'm just doing it. It's just going to be 8. Like, I just think it's going to be like 8 and 9. That seems, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe everything goes right and they end up at 10 and 7.
They have to beat the Chiefs and the Chargers to really at least split those games.
Which I think that's easily splittable.
I think they'll get one of the
Denver.
4.
I think they'll
get one of the 4, and then Denver probably 3 out of 6 in division.
Yeah, which isn't bad. Then they only have to win. Well, they have to win 6 more games. I don't know.